passion for it, but there's certain reasons why, and this guy here is, and his family was the main reason I probably got in this sport, because of relationships between dads, Mac and Don, and you know, it's pretty personal, but it goes beyond that. And so, being like 6 years younger, you know, I've just kind of got a chance to kind of tag along and be around some good people in this sport. And most of it was at a rival school. I'm a West Waterloo boy, my city's back there. But East Waterloo and Coach Natvig was where the Buzzards went to school. And the bottom line is I was in a lot of those wrestling rooms, and a lot of the East Waterloo wrestling rooms when I was a kid. Not really competing, just watching and getting smacked around and whatever it was that you do to get little kids ready for the sport of wrestling. But anyway, Bob Buzzard here is a guy that actually taught me a lot of skills in the sport. Taught me a lot of skills and probably built a passion when I used to watch him wrestle and when he used to train with me. And there's a couple stories real quick. He decided to send me off to Iowa State, which I'm going to tell you right now, that's why I went to Iowa State. I went to Iowa State because of Bob Buzzard and because of Tom Peckham. You know, and so Cresco and Waterloo are pretty powerful for my background. But anyway, before he sent me over, he always taught me a lot of skills, and he wrestled with me, but he decided to show me what college wrestling was going to be about. And so he actually wrestled me fairly hard and beat me up pretty good. And he just said, I want to make sure you know that it's going to be a little tougher now. You're going from high school to college. And he beat me up so good that I have the same neck injury today that he beat me up back in 1966 in the summer. But there's some things that I remember about him that made a big difference in my career. And I've never told him this, but you know, he trained with me and helped me out. Never really, you know, he was bigger than me at the time, but then I kept growing up and finally caught up a little bit and was his size. And then I can remember a workout with him. I think it was like third year in college or fourth year in college, and I actually did a good job. And I actually left that workout, and it's still in my mind because it built some confidence. Just like I told Peckham, and you don't remember, obviously, but I mean, obviously, because I said the story before. I said I remember the first time I ever scored on you in Harmony, Minnesota. I don't even remember the workout, you know. But it was, you know, one of these things that they take for granted. But I'm a little kid. I look up to these guys, and I'm getting older, and I know when I scored my first takedown, and I know when I did my first pretty good job at Orange Township High School. I don't know if you remember that. You don't remember that. I walked away thinking, wow, I might be okay. I might be okay. But anyway, my dad, his dad, and actually Mr. Peckham they all hung around together, Art Peckham. And one day we pulled up in the Buzzard Yard there on, what was that, Prospect Boulevard over there on East Waterloo, and they were working out in the yard, and they had a wrestle mat out there in the yard, roll right out in the yard. I don't think that would make a difference, but they were time to go to a new, I don't know, whatever it was. My dad made a deal with Don Sr. at that particular day, and they rolled that mat, and that mat came to my house, and I trained on that mat all through my senior year. And it was a mat you hurt me on, but like all through high school, all through college, trained for the Olympics. You know, we didn't have the sophisticated, you know, wrestling rooms and all the coaching staffs and national coaches. And so when I came home to Waterloo, Iowa, I had my 12 by 12. You know, and I had enough good friends that we had a barn full of a wrestling mat. You know, and then I had another good, you know, same guy actually put a wrestling mat in his car dealership. So, you know, we had the community, even though we didn't have those fancy workouts like they have today, as far as like they line everything up, they got everything perfect. But the city of Waterloo, Iowa did enough things that when you were home, you could go somewhere and get a good workout. And it's really important. And I'm saying that for Cresco too, just because when you want something to happen, the community makes it happen. I want you to know that. There's kids out there that are going to help make that happen, but it's the community that really makes the difference. So anyway, this guy here, all he did was win a couple state titles at East Waterloo. I think he was a finalist the other year, sophomore, junior, and senior years. I think that's all we had was 3 years in high school then. Then he went on to Iowa State. He was a two-time All-American there. Then he won a national freestyle champion. He went on to the Olympic Games in Munich in Greco-Roman. And then he went on to coaching. And I know just went back into coaching this year just for a year. And right away, the first year he's back into coaching. And out in Oregon, they win the state championships in a very tough state for wrestling. I was just in Oregon this last week. He wasn't out there, but I was there working with the Oregon Ducks on their football program. Don't tell Iowa that or anything, but I met with the football program. But I have an agenda. This agenda is wrestling, and they had dropped the sport about 6 or 7, 8 years ago or more, or whatever it was, and I was out there talking with the AD. But that was my only way to get to the AD was through the football coach. And when they asked me to come out there, I said, well, I got an agenda too. And they said, well, it's pretty controversial. So I said, I don't need to talk to him. So I got out there and I won the football coach over, and he got me into the AD. And so, just doing my homework a little bit. So anyway, the Buzzard family had a lot of land that they hunted on, not too far from here actually. And I grew up there and helped, but every time I went there, they didn't let me shoot any ducks or anything. They just made me work. They just made me work. But I was getting strong, and that was really important because that's what really counted for my profession. And Mr. Buzzard used to always call this move. He always said, my kid Bob, he can do a really good duck hunter, And I was young, and so I didn't know what he was saying, and I knew they hunted ducks a lot out there, and I always thought the move was the duck hunter, and it was a duck under. For years, I thought that move was the duck hunter, and it wasn't my best move, but it was a hell of a move for him, and he could do it really well. And once I learned how to say it right, then I hit it a couple times, but before that, I didn't know what the problem was. So anyway, I'm just going to say that he has his wife here, and I'll let him get up here. But it's really my honor to introduce Bob and actually be in Cresco area to do this, because this is what made me. I'm going to tell you, this is what made me. Besides my own family, the Buzzards, follow Peckham, Cresco, Iowa, and I will say one last thing. When I entered the town, because I give speeches all over the world, and I always thought when I come in town, I always thought it said home of 5 admirals, 7 NCAA wrestling championships, the Hall of Fame, and so on and so forth. I didn't see that wrestling championships on there, or champions, Nichols, my man, Kurlmeyer, my man, Peckham. I just didn't see that on there. I don't know who took it off, but I'm looking for him. I'm definitely looking for him, because when I talk about Borlaug, well, it's because he was a wrestler, but I'm this way, and so I just want you to know that you guys are making the world news, and I may have to back off a little bit right now, so you're going to have to change that around. So I appreciate the opportunity to bring him up here, Bob Buzzard, and give him and congratulate him and let him take over from here. Iowa Wrestling Hall of Fame, Bob Buzzard, right here.
Thank you, Dan, for your kind accolades, and a lot of that's true, but there's a couple of things I'm going to have to correct here later. I did coach out in Oregon.
Louder, Bob.
Cascade High School 5 years. So it took us 5 years to really build those kids, but we kind of knew 2 years ago that they were going to win this thing. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming, and it's amazing what the board does here, and that's much. You guys really are on fire. You guys know how to get people together. This is really awesome. So I thank you. It's I know everybody's got busy schedules and everything, and to take the time out here and to join us,
Bob.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Joe. So, Dan, thanks for your kind words. I want to thank the board members, selection committee. I'd like to thank Dennis Merrick, Jim Turbold for their effort and time on the phone and communication over the internet and what have you. I appreciate all that. So they lined me out so that bio is correct and got everything in. So congratulations to the new and past inductees. I'm very honored and grateful to be here. And it's you know, this is a wrestling town. I can remember 1960, Tom Peckham was a 127 pounder, and we came up and wrestled these guys, and they were state champs, and we were state champs down there. They were at that time A state champs, B state champs. I think we were a little tougher, but anyway, we're good. And we're just okay. I have a couple other stories I like to tell about Beckham, but I don't know if I should do it here tonight. I might come and do it. He's a little bigger than I am now, so you know, there was a time I could scrap with him. And so anyway, I did grow up in the great state of Iowa, and we were educated in the Waterloo school system, and I had some really tremendous coaches, and that's really what helped me along the way, is to have coaches that knew how to coach and knew how to work with you and knew your strengths and weaknesses and knew where you fell down a little bit and know how to get you tougher and in those weaker areas. So you got to have those guys on your side. And so anyway, I was blessed with that. And some of those guys, I'd like to mention those coaches. First of all, I'd start with my junior high coach, Coach McCoy. And he only stayed about 3 years, and then he took off to California. And anyway, Dave Natvig, who was an awesome coach. I mean, he really got us guys good workouts, the right stuff, and knew how to work us very hard. Harold Nichols and Les Anderson, who I was his size, so he was a workout partner of mine. So he really helped me a lot. And then Terry McCann, who is deceased now, but was an Olympic champion in 1960, was my freestyle Greco-Roman coach, and Mike Rodriguez out in Michigan when I was there helped me a lot. So those guys were really men that knew how to train men, tough wrestlers, and they knew their game, they knew their sport, they knew what they were all about, and they knew how to work in. And I appreciated that. So anyway, I got to thank sparring partners. Joe Frank back here was one of them. Vic Marcusi and Gordy Hassman, and in high school, Barman and Gazelle and Robinson, and those kids were all state champs, and they were tough kids. And then I got to where, you know, I really kind of have to look back and say, how did, you know, I really, you know, started in wrestling. It was really probably my father, the one that really started. The one that really allowed me financially to wrestle was my lovely wife over here, Pat. And I would be in Michigan starting out there, and we didn't have a penny. And we just got married, and I'm going to graduate school out there, and so I'm trying to wrestle with the Michigan Wrestling Club, and they're traveling, working out, and I'm going to school, and she's putting the bell. She's working at the University Hospital there, and she's allowing me to do all this fun stuff while she works. So anyway, I gotta appreciate a wife like that will stay behind you and you know, let you do the things that you have still in your heart. So anyway, my wife is a big part of that. And anyway, my brother Don was kind of a workout partner all the way through. We were the same size all the way through grade school. He was 4 years younger, and later became Tom Peckham's workout partner. But I kind of helped him get tough. And anyway, I had no one there, and so I was in the 5th grade. My dad decided to go over to the junior high and talk to Coach McCoy. And I had no idea what he was going to do and what he was talking about. But he came back home and he said, Monday, you're to report over at the junior high. you're gonna work out with those guys, and I said, those are ninth graders, and eighth graders, and sixth graders, fifth, seventh graders. I'm in fifth, Dad. He said, yep, that's right, you're gonna work out with these guys, and they're just gonna get you a whole lot better and tougher. So anyway, there's a guy over there that brings my name, brings his name to my mind, and that was Bobby Carey, who was a 95-pound state champion his junior, senior year. Anyway, he was over there as a ninth grader, and he was my weight class. And so my dad said, make sure you tell the coach that will be your workout partner. You need to work in that group. So anyway, I had no idea who Danny Carey was or how tough he was. But I'll tell you what, I got turned every way but loose that night. And I tell you, I was going, oh man. Next day I got up, I was so stiff and sore, and I'm going, go back to school. And of course, I'm kind of a marble player, so I'm playing in this marble tournament. So I already signed up for it, and I'm supposed to be at wrestling practice. Now, do I go and get my butt kicked again, or do I go over there and play marbles and have fun and win? I go play marbles. I said, that wrestling. So I don't show up for a couple of days there, and my father, he comes home that night and says, well, how's wrestling going, son? I said, well, it's pretty good. One kid that's really tough over there. I don't know, I think I can beat that kid. He's really good. He says, oh, really? Well, you tell me some more about that. And I says, how you been doing the last day or two? And I said, well, pretty good. And I'm kind of, thinking that I'm being, baited. And so I'm going, oh, and he goes, you want to tell me the truth? And I go, yeah, I've been playing marbles. And he said, marbles? He says, hey, there's no future in marbles. You give that stuff up and we're going to start wrestling. You be at the junior high for the next 2 months, an hour and a half every night, and you just be there, or else. And I knew what else was. So I'm going, oh man, this is going to be a butt kicking every night for the next 2 months. This is really fun. So anyway, at the end of that fifth grade, anybody asked me if I liked wrestling, I said, no way did I like wrestling. I'm going, how can I get into basketball and have a short? And I'm going, this is crazy. So anyway, he said, well, you're going back to sixth grade, you're going back and you'll do that again. I says, is that kid there or is he gone? He says, he's gone. He's at the high school. So then he wins that state title and I go, Dad, that's a state champion. So anyway, he's kind of one of these guys that always had ideas how to get you better. And so he had this idea that we had these national YMCA wrestling tournaments. And so down at the YMCA in Waterloo, they have this big national tournament. Peckham probably was down there wrestling that thing one time. But anyway, that was another experience I didn't need. And so I was tuning out and I'm going, holy cow, these guys are tough, and I'm just learning what's going on. So anyway, I finally get to junior high and I'm starting to hold my own. And then before long, I'm beating people. And the only guys I couldn't beat was Frankie Lane and Tom Huff and Lowell Stewart. And they were a year ahead of me and they were over at West High. And so I was in junior high that I wrestled those guys and they were ahead of me. And so I was always second in that city tournament. And those guys were first and I didn't like that real well. So anyway, I did get a chance to wrestle Lane and that's the year I got second. Anyway, beat him twice in districts and a duel, and I lost to him. Bob Siddons will know that I lost to him in the finals of the state tournament in 1959. And so anyway, to go on about my dad, he was just a guy that always was dreaming up a way. So when I was in high school, my junior, senior year, so I think we'll go up to the college at Christmas time, Thanksgiving, you'll work out with the college kids. So I don't know if Frank Freeman, he's here, he probably saw me in that room, but I think I worked out with some of the 23-pounders. I got pounded, and I don't know if Freeman, he would have pounded the tar out of me at that time. I don't know if I would even want to grab him, but anyway, so he always had us up there working out and doing those kinds of things. So by the time you get to college, you're kind of ready. You got a ways to go, but you're at least not intimidated when you get there. So you've been there and done it. So that's kind of where I go with my my wrestling as far as getting started and my interest. And I did say I had that map, and my dad, that was another idea he had. Then he would go around the community and grab guys in the summer. I don't know where he'd find them, but he knew how to find them. And anyway, these guys are, like 15, 16, 17 years old, and he'd be bringing them over to the side yard, about 5:30, 5 o'clock. He'd get home and he'd have these guys ready to work out. Here, we'll work out with this kid, and this kid will work out with this guy. So he had us all paired up, and we used to have matches. So it was side lot wrestling, really. And so that's how we got better. And in the summertime, he says, you got to be doing something, otherwise you get sluggish and forget your moves, and fat and overweight and out of shape. And so you got to keep busy. And like Dan said, that was the truth, though. He did say when he'd go up to that cabin, my dad's hunting place, my sons will vouch for that. Every time I took him back to Iowa, my son stopped and said, Dad, why do we have to go there? All we're going to do is work. He says, Grandpa, there was nothing else but work. And that is true. How many trees did you plant, Dan? Thousands?
Blocks that I picked.
But anyway, we planted trees, and it was always going on. And so, the year that I got beat by Frankie Lane, my dad decided he had Harry Shiry's concrete had a drag line, so, and he used to hunt up to the club, his hunting club. So he says, we're gonna dig out these ponds. He says, you're gonna be up there all summer, and you gotta keep this diesel fuel in this drag line. And this dozer, they'll be up there, and I said, oh, really, all summer? Yeah. I says, well, who's gonna be there to cook? You're gonna learn how to cook. So he said, I'll have food for you, just cook it and what have you. You stay there, and that guy will be there, and every morning at 7:30 he'll be there. And you need to have these 5-gallon gas cans, and you take them across that swamp, and one in each hand, and you just go over there, and he'll fill it, and he'll give you the empty cans, take them back, fill it, and you do that all day. Holy cow. So I'm sitting there going, man, because people would ask me, says, you got a grip on that. That's for carrying cans. That's not beer cans, cans, gas cans. And so, anyway, he would come up on the weekend and bring more food, and he had this dump truck, and it would be full of sand and gravel and rock, and he'd dump it in a pile on this road and all these low spots. I said, why don't you just spread it? He says, then you wouldn't have anything to do. So I wheelbarrow and everything and moving. So then he had us going up the road along fence lines and picking up big boulders and putting them across his road so the road wouldn't wash out. So that was my summer of '59. And believe me, I didn't want to get beat ever again. Because I had no idea what he had in store next. So anyway, was that good? Yeah, he really, at that time, I thought it was terrible. Yet now, as you mature and you get older, you go, he knew how to get a guy better, and he knew how to find people, because you didn't have summer camps and wrestling camps and all this stuff that we do today. Like Dan said, there's no rooms out there that are, really state-of-the-art rooms. We just wrestled wherever we could wrestle. So anyway, I want to thank everybody. I want to wind up here, and I just know that, wrestling has been really good to me. And I was able to, like I say, 5 years come out of retirement. Jason said, get over here and help me. He just graduated from Morgan State. He says, I need somebody to help. So anyway, I go over there and we win that sneaking tournament. That was fun. We got some great kids. That was really good. So anyway, thank you. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, board members. Thanks, everybody.